But this is one you may have heard, Holy Holy Way. Have you ever sung that? And it's call and response, so even if you haven't heard it, you can get it. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love, let me love in a holy, holy way. 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 Let me serve 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 in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Yeah. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
So it's really wonderful to be here with you all today. And most people call me Ami. I know it's a mouthful, Amitabhan. Especially the first few times you see all those. It's only 8 letters, but it looks like a lot the first time you see it. So the talk today, life is the school, love is the lesson, and one of the fundamental knowings that I have in my own heart is that underneath the fabric of all this creation, there's a consciousness. It's a fundamental consciousness, and there is a consciousness of love. And there's a love here that we don't have to create. And what I noticed was that if I'm open and I love that love, it's a principle of resonance. It's just vibration. That love is amplified. So this is a song I wanted to share with you before we move into the talk. And it's about loving that love. And it has a sing-along chorus, so I hope you'll join in on this one also. I love loving you. I love loving you. Want to try that? I love loving you. I love loving you. You are the most exquisite beauty. You are the sweetest sound. I am falling deeper into you. So lost and finally found. And I love loving you. I love loving you. I love loving you. I love loving you. You give all good things, and you make everything so clear. You come and you never leave. You are always here. And I love loving you. I love loving you. Yeah, 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 yeah. I love loving you. I love loving you.
So please join me in prayer. So how good it is to experience love, to know that it fills this room, that it indwells each and every one of us. That is the grandest drawing and healing power in the universe. It is greater than all things. And so I know that love is who I am. It is the core of my being. It expresses in, through, and as me right here and right now. And as I know this is true for me, I know that it is true for everyone here. That we are one. That we are here to be love, to experience love, and to express love. And so it is from that place that I bless our time together today, knowing that love speaks and love sings and love is. I bless Amitabhan as he speaks the words of the divine, reaching out and touching each heart. I know that everyone here hears exactly what feeds their soul. That everyone here is uplifted, inspired, and blessed. And so with a grateful heart, I simply know that this is so. And affirming this together, we say, and so it is. So now I'd like to formally introduce our guest, Amitabhan. And he is an award-winning songwriter who's been influenced by a wide variety of musical traditions. He travels widely, appearing at nearly 100 events and concerts every year. He was given the name Amitabhan by Amma, and some of you know her. She is the hugging saint. And she bestowed that on him in the year 2000. His words and his music spring from the depths of a quieted gratitude and many years of meditation, devotion, and wisdom based on spiritual practice. So welcome to our spiritual community, Ami. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Reverend Robin. And I'd like to do one more chant with you before we move into the talk. So, it's a simple one. It goes like this. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. Please join me. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. And there's a second part that goes like this. I am with God. Together. I am with God. I am with God. I am with God. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God. I am with. Two more times. I am with God. All things are possible. I am with God. And all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. I am with God, and all things are possible. Beautiful. I don't always have a choir. Just to sing with such a choir of 4 people. It's nice. So we're shifting? We're shifting microphones. Okay, great. So yeah, once again, it's really wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Reverend Robin, it's been wonderful to spend time with you and be here with everyone this morning. Life is the school, love is the lesson. And when I was about 18 or 19, I became kind of inwardly obsessed with the question, what happens when I die? And I started talking to people. Actually, I didn't talk about it much. The few people I did talk about this question with, the conversation was pretty short. It got shut down pretty quick. And what I realized is the people I was around, nobody had a clue what came next. Or there were a few people that maybe believed something because somebody else said so, but I wanted some real proof. That was really important for me. And I also remember another incident when I was about 7 years old. I was talking to my dad, and I think I don't remember the exact words. I remember his response, but I think it was like, "What happens when I die?" or something like that. And my dad's a really sweet guy, by the way. He's got 3 children. He does anything for his children, for his kids. Amazing guy. And but he said, "You just die and you're dead." And like the universe is all a big accident, and you just die and you're dead. And like I said, he's a really sweet guy, but it was like someone punching me in the stomach. I was almost like I had to hunch over and kind of walk back into the house, like, okay, let me deal with this. And yeah, that something about that didn't sit right, didn't feel right all the way through my body. And I imagine some of you here today have had a similar experience, or that there was something more than just some random accident at play with this whole universe unfolding. I have 2 friends who have had near-death experiences. Anybody here know anybody's? Or maybe some of you here? Yeah. So it's quite common. Most people have heard of the phenomenon, and it's quite well documented. So many people have had a similar experience in different cultures and different places, different times, about leaving the body, going to the light, seeing some sort of angelic realm and higher realm of being. There's actually a new movie out, Heaven is for Real. Have you heard of that? I've heard it's about a 4-year-old boy who had a death experience, actually. And I've seen interviews with him before the movie came out. I didn't realize they were making a movie. I've seen interviews with him, and I love these stories. I think it because it shows we're just here for such a short time. You know, we don't die. This is such a short chapter in the evolution of our soul, and the notion that it's a big accident it just doesn't make much sense if you look at the evidence. Anyway, so this movie, Heaven is for Real, this boy talks about this experience of going up into heaven. And my friends also that I've talked to, one of them in particular, he never talked about his experience. He was dead for about 10 minutes. And for all the people that talk about this experience, there's no time. Like so many things happen. For 10 minutes in our time, so many things happen to them in that 10 minutes. And he was an older guy. We'd been building fences together, and this was, as I said, this isn't something he really talked about much with people. I think we were leaning on our shovels, and he was, after a few weeks of working together, and he was, just the emotion of talking about it, his eyes were welling up. And he looked at me and he said, "You cannot believe the amount of love there is when you're there in that place. And not just leaving your body, but kind of going through to the light and the other side." He said, "There's a vibration of love that's just unbelievable." And so that's the reality. And not only is it confirmed by many near-death reports, but certainly all the mystics talk about being in a state of love. They finally attune their instrument to this underlying vibration so that they can be in resonance with reality and come back to source. So we come from love, we go back to love. Life is the school, love is the lesson. Certainly, you know, the great religions, love is a fundamental tenet. Like in the Bible, God is love, and we don't see that as much maybe in some of the other religions that God is love, but love is just a fundamental way of being and a way of relating to God. There's a lot of like bhakti yoga in India is about just loving the source, and like Islam and the Sufis very much about just loving God, and in that there's a resonance, a lining up with the underlying reality of creation. So if you have flowers in your yard, maybe you've seen this phenomenon. In the morning when the sun comes up, a flower will turn its head toward the sun. It will open up all its petals, and the sun will go over in the sky, and you can just see the flower turn its head during the day and just keep turning toward the sun. And at the end of the day, it'll close up its petals and start the whole thing over. And in the same way, we love to love. A flower is built to drink in that sunlight. It's nurture. It's food for the flower. And in the same way, when we love, it just feels right for all of us. A hug, a kind word is so much nicer than a slap or some aggression. Just because love is what we come from. So it's only right that we should love. So there's love on the other side. We come from love. We go to love. The religions are talking about love. The mystics are talking about love. So I guess that means that everyone here is always happy. You're always in a state of grace, perpetual grace. Well, maybe so. I hope so. It's not always the case for me. And I know in my life there's been a lot of hardship. Yeah, I think it's quite rare to meet someone who's connected to love all the time. But that is a possibility for us. And that's why we come together, to be grounded in spiritual principles, to make time to reconnect back to what's real. So I love that I get to be with you all here today. In my own life, there have definitely been excruciatingly humbling situations and trials. And probably most of you here have had some fear or depression or tension, anger, maybe once or twice in your life. Um, and human life in general is it's full of all kinds of traumas, even from major traumas to just the minor trauma of walking to school and having people yell at you or laugh at you because of your haircut or tease you because of your goofy shoes or something. All these little things that happen to us, they put walls, these hurtful things put walls around our heart. And it helps us to deal. We can walk to school without crying and falling apart and getting things done in the world. But the price we pay for that is every wall we put up around our heart, it cuts us off from source. Because we all have a direct link, a direct high-speed hookup, extreme high-speed hookup back to source. And each wall around our heart is a barrier. It cuts off that flow. That's like that pipe gets smaller and smaller. So the whole piece about the heart softening and and opening is so directly related to this return back to source. And ideas are so powerful to inspire us. And sometimes inspiration comes through the mind with ideas. But then when that starts to settle into the heart and open the heart, then it's like the ideas are something we can leave behind because we're drinking directly from the source. The open heart just drinks directly from Spirit, from the love that's always here. So this frozenness that happens, the walls around the heart, sometimes what we're used to is actually very out of balance. And there's actually a story, one of the saints from India tells about this, about a woman, and she was a fish merchant. So every week she would come to the market and she would sell her fish. And she was friends with the woman who sold flowers. So one night they were talking after the market, and the woman with the flowers said, "Why don't you stay at my house tonight instead of walking all the way home? I'll make you dinner." And so they went to the house and they had some time together. And she said, "Well, why don't you stay here instead of walking all the way home? You can sleep where the flowers are." So the lady said, "Thank you very much." She tried to sleep where the flowers were, and she couldn't get to sleep. She was tossing and turning all night. And finally the lady said, "Is there a problem? Are you okay?" And she said, "I think I know what it is, actually. Can you go get my fish basket?" And so the gardener went out and grabbed the smelly rank fish basket and brought it to the lady. And so the fish merchant took some water and sprinkled some water on the basket so it really amplified the rank smell. Put it right next to her head, and she fell right asleep and snored all night long. So just because something makes sense or it's right doesn't mean that we're always attracted to it. Sometimes we are used to things that just don't make sense. They're out of balance. So sometimes it takes a while to let go. There's another story about this. In India, I was told that if you want to catch a monkey, if you go to an area where there are a lot of monkeys, if you drill a hole in a log, just a narrow hole in a tree or in a fallen log, so it's narrow enough so that the monkey can get its hand in, and you hollow out a space at the bottom, you can drop something shiny in there. So as soon as you leave, monkeys will come by, and they're very curious. They want to see what you've been up to. And they'll reach in, they'll see something shiny, they'll hold on to it. And so the monkey can get its hand in, it can hold on. Now, if a monkey would just let go of that, it could run away from the hunters. But the monkey will not let go. The hunters walk up and catch the monkeys. So maybe there's even something in your life that you're holding on to that you've had a sense, oh, it might be time for me to let go of that. And for most of us, if we take a look, sometimes there's 2 or 3 things that are no longer serving. That were at one time, they were appropriate. There was a reason why these things got put in place, but at some point they become a limitation. So in this culture, we tend to be a more head-oriented culture. But the heart is actually a much larger. He warned me about that. He said, "You're not one of these people that keeps touching your chest all the time, are you?" I said, "No, I'm not going to be touching my chest at all." The heart's actually a much bigger electromagnetic center of the body. Um, there's so much power here in the heart, and the power is to love, to have this vibration of love. We are tremendously powerful, loving beings. And emotionally, we talk about visualizing, we talk about affirming. It's one thing to say it, but when we feel it, we know it, we feel it emotionally in our body, that's where the most meat is, the most power, that emotional center. And this is a tremendous gift that we have as human beings, this capacity to love and this capacity to line up with the fundamental vibration of, um, of source. You know, Einstein he's celebrated for many things, but also for showing that matter and energy are just two sides of the same coin, that things just change shape. But that fundamental consciousness underneath everything that's love, that there's just no depth to that. I wanted to share a few words from Joseph Campbell. People here heard of Joseph Campbell? Yeah, very famous. Studied the mythologies of the planet. And so he said, God is a word. God is a concept, but its reference is to something that is beyond all concepts. God is transcendent, finally, of anything like a name. As the Hindus say, beyond names and forms. No tongue has soiled it. No word has reached it. Circumference nowhere and center everywhere. And this is really what the point I wanted to come to today, is that a lot of us here have had experiences of grace or connection, an experience of the holy. And whatever was present in that moment is right here now. And actually, every single moment of this life, we are always in the presence of the holy. We're always in the presence of the sacred. As much as we make that shift inside from our thoughts and our concerns to the expanse and the grace and the support that's here. I wanted to share one other story from my life. When I was about 19, I was living in Santa Cruz and I took a job working for an environmental organization. And you got paid on commission. And you went around from door to door. And it was good work. It was related to Ralph Nader's work. And they were doing a lot of wonderful things. But basically, you'd go and knock on people's door and you had your wrap you'd give them and you'd try to get them to donate. So by the third day, I still hadn't hit my quota, so I wasn't getting paid. And as you can imagine, I was frustrated. Also, it's a little discouraging, knocking on people's door after door and having people say they don't want to talk to you, or going through your whole rap and not having any support there. So I think I had raised like $80, and I needed $100 to get the quota, so then I would get some payment. And so I went and talked to the guy who was the manager. And I said, yeah, I can't do this. And I give up. It's not working. And he said, well, let's try it. Show me what you do. So we sat down together. He said, well, give me your rap. Give me your talk. So I went through it. Hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. And so he listened for a few minutes. And he nodded and he said, sounds good. And he said, well, who do I make the check out to? And so I said, CalPERG or whatever. And so we pulled the check out, pulled his checkbook out, and he started writing it. And he wrote the check, and he wrote it for the amount to take me over my quota, so I'd get paid. And maybe they had some discretionary money to do that. I don't know. But in that moment, all I could see was that he was giving me this money right out of his pocket. just this act of kindness. And it was all I could do to just not start weeping. And I was 19. I did not cry when I was 19. I was not interested in any open heart stuff, that's for sure. Whatever that was. And it took me a while to kind of, I had to put the walls back up as fast as I could. I was just like in this swirl of emotion, like couldn't even talk for a second. But that's the power of kindness. To pierce through all the hardness and all the tension, all the traumas of this life. Just a simple act of kindness does so much. Whether it's, sometimes it's a bigger gesture, sometimes it's a small gesture. And I think we've all had them. There's probably, if we had time to go through the room and hear the things that have happened, like one little thing. And yeah, there are a few things I know in my life that stand out like that, where it didn't seem like that big a deal, but brought tears to my eyes. So I know that something good is happening. If that happens, I don't have a problem. I feel like anytime something wants to flow out, it's washing away the old. It's washing away something that's not necessary. A friend of mine said there's a saying in the Native American tradition that power should not be given to men who don't cry. And women that don't cry too, I think. There's one more story I saw recently about kindness that I thought was really beautiful. And actually I saw it on Facebook, so some of you may have seen this too. It's been circulated a bit. There was a woman who was caught stealing somewhere down south, and she had a child with her, and she was basically stealing food from a supermarket. And so the police came, and the police officer showed up, and took her in, she was arresting her, writing her a ticket. And then the police officer just kind of changed mid-course and ended up going in and buying the lady $100 worth of groceries. So there's so many good things happening in the world, and kindness matters. It's not a small thing. It's a really big thing, and it has the power to open the heart. And the more the heart softens and opens, the more we come back to what's real. Come out of the mind, come out of the fears, come out of the busyness within. I saw a quote on the bottom of an email a few years ago, and I never forgot it. Sometimes I think we hear something, and I think anytime we hear truth, it has power. Like if some people they're really honest people, and their words have power. They're honest. They're not false. They're really resonating with what they believe. There's a lot of power in that. And even more so when someone's speaking something that's cosmically true. If it's actually a fundamental universal truth, when someone's speaking those words, they have power. And as much as they're really living those words, then they have even more power. A master, they're actually living, walking their talk. But anyway, this quote always stayed with me. Be kinder than necessary. Everyone is fighting some kind of battle. And, I just couldn't help but think, when I was growing up, I would hear slogans about our country like, the business of America is business, or competition breeds excellence. But what if that was the slogan it's one of the fundamental principles of our country, be kinder than necessary. The Creator is so kind to us. We've been given everything. We have these amazing bodies, clean air, fresh water, and everything we need to survive. And so it's only right that we should be kind and give to others. So I wanted to also talk a little bit about some mystics. I personally, the mystics are some of my favorites, just because to me they show us what's possible as human beings. I was raised in the Bay Area for the most part, and watched a lot of Happy Days reruns and ate a lot of Lucky Charms, and It wasn't connected to some kind of timeless wisdom. My mom was actually quite cosmic. She would read me books like Jonathan Livingston Seagull or Illusions, if you've heard of those books, and I loved those, just hearing those stories. But there was no connection with real life. It seemed like, wow, that's some fantasy thing. But then to grow up and really start studying about people, the mystics that have lived in all times and places, this is reality. And that's what's possible for us. So one of the mystics that's my personal favorite is Peace Pilgrim. Anybody here heard of Peace Pilgrim? So for anybody who hasn't heard of her, she's a woman. She's an American woman. In 1953, she started her first pilgrimage, and she walked across the country with a message for peace. And her message was, overcome evil with good, falseness with truth, and hatred with love. And so she walked across the country just sharing this message, which is beautiful. But the way she did it is quite unique. She said, I will walk until I'm given shelter, and I will fast until I'm given food. And she carried, I think she had a toothbrush in her pocket here, and she had a comb. That was it. She walked. It said Peace Pilgrim on the front. And so she made her pilgrimage across the country, and she never stopped. It went so well, and she felt like that was what she was supposed to do with her life. She kept walking, I think about 20 times across the country. She walked up into Canada, walked down into Mexico. And so even that's great, but that's still not what I think is amazing about her. She said, my hair had already turned silver when I started my pilgrimage. I haven't had a cold or a headache or even a bad mood since. And she left her body in 1983. It's what she called the glorious transition to the next phase. She said, I live in a constant state of connection with the source of all that is. And when I read that, I mean, what could be a more reasonable goal for a human life? To have that place of connection. And that we all do have that. That's a potential for us. That is the potential of a human birth. That we can align with the source. So I did had a few more things. I think I'll skip that one. It's like it's time to wrap it up. Okay, well, this was quick. We'll come back to this. This is funny, and you've probably seen this. You've probably seen this before. I loved it years ago, and I thought it related to today with life being the school. This is 10 rules for being human. Rule 1: you will receive a body. You may love it or hate it, but it will be yours for the entire duration this time around. Rule 2: you will be presented with lessons. You are enrolled in a full-time informal school called life. Each day in this school, you will have the opportunity to learn lessons. You may like the lessons or hate them, but they have been designed as part of your curriculum. Rule 3: there are no mistakes, only lessons. Growth is a process of experimentation, a series of trials, error, and occasional victories. The failed experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiments that work. Rule 4: the lesson is repeated until learned. Lessons will be repeated in various forms until you have learned them. When you have learned them, then you can go on to the next lesson. Rule 5: learning does not end. There is no part of life that does not contain lessons. If you are alive, there are lessons to be learned. Rule 6: there is no better than here. When you are there, you become here, and you will simply obtain another there that will look better to you than your present here. Rule 7: others are only mirrors of you. You cannot love or hate something about another person unless it reflects something you love or hate about yourself. Rule 8: what you make of this life is up to you. You have all the tools and resources you need. Rule 9: the answers lie inside of you. All you need to do is look listen, and trust. Rule 10, you will forget all this. Unless you come every Sunday to the Center for Spiritual Living, Mountainside, Placerville, or make it a priority in your life. You might forget if you don't make it a priority. The final thing before I wrap up is a line I heard from a children's song, and maybe you've heard this song. Love is something when you give it away, you end up having more. Somebody heard this song? Oh, you do? Oh, great. Yeah. So again, that's just to hear something that just rings true with cosmic truth. And how amazing is that? What an amazingly abundant universe we live in. The most fundamental vibration under the sustaining principle of all the universe, when we give that away, we have more of it. I just think that's amazing. If I have a piece of chocolate cake and I give it to Ari, 2 pieces of chocolate cake don't usually appear in front of me. I'm not saying it's not possible and that our seeds, planting good seeds has a good effect, but if I have a nice car in the driveway, I say, hey, neighbor, I want you to have this car. I don't walk back to the house and see 3 cars in the driveway generally. But this energetic principle is instant, and it's something we can all check out for ourselves and recognize. So yeah, just to wrap up, and what I'd like to leave with today, that we actually do, truly, we come from love and we return to love. And there is a vibration of love underneath all of creation. As much as we come into a space of love, or even just let go of all the noise, then there's a vibration that we don't even need to create, actually. So the workshop today will be singing some songs, some chants, having some time for some guided meditation, some group activities to just keep that open-hearted space of love happening. So we'd love to see some of you there if you'd like to come to that. And just want to give thanks to you all for being here, and thanks to Reverend Robin for having me. And yeah, have a great afternoon, everybody. Namaste. So I've got one more song for you. So someone sent me a poem recently, and it was called The Universe. And some of this may have dawned on some of you, but it never occurred to me that I've been using the word universe my whole life, and it just never registered that it means one song. I just thought, that's so beautifully poetic, I think. And so the poem turned into this song. Something is building, I can hear the momentum. It's the sound of change, the sound of things to come. It's building in our cities, it's building in the towns. It's the song within, waiting to be found. Only you know the part that is written within your heart. One verse, one song, one light shines, one people, one truth, one love divine. You're the missing voice in this symphony. Everyone is needed for true harmony. The melody for you is just behind the doubt. Sing and remember what this life's about. Only you know the part that is written within your heart. One verse, one song, one light shine. one love divine. We are a one world choir. Lift the vibration higher. Heart as wide as the sky above. Our song can heal. So send it out with love. Yeah, yeah. So there's one last chorus. I was wondering if you would help me sing the last chorus. One verse, one song, one light shines, one people, one truth, one love divine. It's kind of a mouthful, but let's try it. It'll come around. There's one more verse and then the chorus comes up. But maybe you could help me with a little bit of clapping for this last part. We come from the light, and that's where we go. One family, here to learn and grow. Give the gift of you, that is your melody. This song called life, one great symphony. It's time to sing the part that is written within our heart. One verse, one song, one light shines, one people, one truth, one love divine. One verse, one song, one light shines, one people, one truth, one love divine, one love divine, one love divine.